Live, man. We live, man. Be quiet, dog. So, Todd, man, we here again, man. You know, we had a good time up in Brooklyn, showing Todd the room, man. It's a little junky. Good time in Brooklyn, man. Good time in Manhattan. Good time up in Harlem. I want to ask you a couple of questions, Todd. Let's talk about it, man, because you and I had a good conversation. But but do you feel that women that have too many options eventually are alone? And if so, why?
I think that I remember when I was young, and um, there weren't too many options as far as toys you can play with,
Mm-hmm.
games you can play, right? You kind of had the like entertainment, TV shows. You had to wait for the show to go off, commercials and all that stuff. And because of that, it limited how much entertainment you take in.
Right.
Today, you have an unlimited amount of options when you scroll up on Facebook, you
Right.
scroll up on Instagram, you scroll up on YouTube, you
Right.
scroll up on any porn site. It just continues to on and on and on and on and on. You're looking for the next thing around the corner. That's
Right.
what our world is, and that's what happens with women.
Right.
They believe that there's another one, another one around the corner,
Right.
the corner,
Right. Right.
a new one.
Right.
This one ain't perfect. This one don't have all this. This one don't have all that. Until you get to the end, and you're older, and you're not getting the same thing you were getting before.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize, wait, can I go back to the last few options I had? No, you can't. And that's what I believe ends up happening with women.
Do you think a lot of women sabotage themselves because some will argue that many women met their husbands in their younger years, but because of excessive dating, online media information and attention, that the allotment of options has actually caused a lot of women to be to their demise. Because if you go back 100 years ago, people didn't have as many options. They more or less got the person they were going to be with for the rest of their lives, and they learned to be content. But how do you feel how do you feel that modern technology has been the demise of so many women? Because it could be argued that many women met their husbands in their younger years, but because of excessive dating, heartbreaks, and maybe what I call carnal hypergamy, these women continue to go on an ongoing cycle where they think they're going to find perfection, like in a karmic cycle, but inevitably they end up single and alone and frustrated.
I think that, yes, I do think that they could have found the person sooner in life and believe because there's something else better, because that's the culture telling them that. Like a lot of women are being told they shouldn't settle down early, they should go out and get their own thing, they should have their own independence. So you hear a lot of women say, I'm not ready for that, I'm not ready to do that, I'm
Right.
not ready to get into a relationship, and they keep going through this, the culture that's doing that.
Right.
I would say the culture also affects us men, right? Like yes, the women are able to date way more than they could before. They have way more options. They can date, out of their neighborhood, out of their town. Long distance relationships have increased because of that.
Right.
But the same thing, we see a lot more breasts than we didn't see. Like we can see a lot more, like we see a lot more flesh and a lot more of this that we couldn't see. It desensitizes us.
Right.
As well,
Right.
making us believe that we can get something new, something better, something bigger, something rounder, something, more voluptuous. So it's everything that happens on one side is going to be an effect on the other side. And I believe that the fact that women are going out trying to find that perfect without even realizing what perfect is, or never even seen perfect before, never experienced it, never had anybody know experience perfect. They're looking for things because the culture is telling them something that is not, that's false. And that's causing the problems in their relationship.
When you look at dating, maybe when you were at 20 compared to dating now, besides social media, what else has changed drastically, in your opinion, that's causing a lot of women to sabotage their future, in your opinion?
I mean, when I was 20, I was just trying to get what I could get, you know what I mean?
Right.
I think that that's going to be most 20-year-old men. 20-year-old men are trying to just get whatever they can get, whereas the women are expecting for something to be more than that. They're always looking for something more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest change that happened from now and then, is that today they're okay with getting into relationships very casually. They have this new thing called sneaky link.
Sneaky link.
I first heard that, my
Right.
shorty's young, so I be hearing these phrases and whatnot. And like they got these new phrases. It's okay for a woman to have, be a side girl. Like they can talk about it. It's okay to not be in a committed relationship. It's like that wasn't the case when I was young.
Right, right.
When I was young, it was like you gonna be in a relationship with a girl. If you are intimate, you're in a relationship with her.
Right.
That's the way I see it. But it's like now a lot, and I'm sure there were women out there who felt different.
Right.
Feel like the way women do now. But now it's so okay. It's just like it's fine. It's all right. We can hang out, but I don't want to be in a relationship. I heard women say that. And that's not something you would hear. I would hear when I was younger.
Right.
You know what I mean? The women saying they want to be in a relationship. Because most of the time it's the men who, if they got free access to some vagina, without the commitment of a relationship, that's a win for a man.
Right. Right.
It was never really a win for a woman until now. And that's
right.
the change I've seen happen.
But is it really a win?
Of course not.
Right.
It is definitely not a win, but that's what I'm saying.
Right.
The fact, if a group could believe that something is a win and it's not,
mm-hmm.
and they going after that, like women believing that me going after my career and me being successful in the money, that's going to be a win for me.
Right.
Realizing that what they're sacrificing is the real win, then that's what they later in life feel like they lost, and that's what's really happening, I think, in relationships with women.
Why is youthfulness so important for women if they're trying to find their future husband? Back in the day, back in the 70s, when many women would go to college, they were in college trying to find their husbands. But it could be argued, Todd, that sometimes not only men play the role in sabotaging, men play the role in sabotaging their daughters' futures by telling them to get education and get degrees, but also the mothers did as well. But if a woman is serious about getting a traditional family, why is it a problem, Todd, for her to forfeit that right with being in with putting career first instead of more or less focusing on her family? Because many do that. We're not against women getting careers, but it's really hard to do both. But can there be a balance, man? What kind of practical advice would you give for women that want families in the future, but they also want to get a career at the same time? Because it's really hard. You really can't really do both. In theory, you can, but in reality, it's almost impossible to do both.
The thing is that in order for you to have a family, you have to be the man.
Say it again?
In order for you to have a family, you have to be the man.
Right.
So what the man wants matters.
Uh-huh.
And that's the problem with a lot of relationships. It's like what the man wants don't matter. Like, I want to have a family and I want to have a career, but in order for you to have a family, you have to have a man. You don't have to have a man to have the career. The man that you have is your boss, right? The one's paying your the career you're going after. So when they think about that, they're not realizing that the man is an important factor of having that family.
Mm-hmm.
And since they don't think about what men want, they don't even know how to actually have a family because they don't know how to have a successful relationship with a man.
Right.
Which is why a lot of the families are broken, right? You have kids but no family, right? You have mothers, but it's not a whole family. It's a single mother, or it's a broken household, or situations like that. And so it breaks all of that up. And so they go for the career. Usually they go for the career because they think it saved them from if a relationship don't work. It's like the safety net.
Right.
Let me get the career first, so I have a safety net if the relationship don't work.
Right.
All the while they're doing that, they're getting in bad relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They still having their sneaky links and all that, and they get hurt, and by the time they think they have the career safety net, they already have all these walls, all these broken hearts, all these wounds. So how are you going to get into a relationship with a man when you have all these wounds, broken hearts, and all? Because you're going to think that man is going to do the same as all those other men did.
Right. So
it's better for a woman to start getting in relationships when she's young, right? With a man who's not going to do those things, which is why I recommend I think that the right way is for a young woman to be with men who are more mature, who are further on in their lives, because those are the only men who could really successfully have a relationship, or at least they're higher degree have a good relationship, whereas young men are just figuring it out.
Right.
I know when I was 20, I wasn't good in no relationships. I wanted to be a good guy, but I couldn't help myself.
Right.
I didn't know how to necessarily be good all the time, and I know where the relationship should be going. A lot of stuff that I know now, I just learned in the last 5 or 10 years. So it's very difficult for a young man to even be good in relationships. So the woman is going to get hurt naturally.
Is it safe to say that many men and women come into relationships with a deficit mindset? And what I mean by deficit mindset, that's your phone?
I got like 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes, all right. So I'm gonna let you go after this, man. We're gonna chop it up tomorrow before I fly back out. But it's safe to say, man, that many come into a relationship with a deficit mindset. And what I mean by deficit mindset, they're always looking at the relationship from a point of the worst thing that can happen instead of allowing that man to do his job and have a high level of intimacy. I do get it about career choices and women not getting relationships and not having a stable man in the home. I get that to some part. But when you come into a relationship without balance, where you're focusing more on the worst thing that can happen instead of looking at the possible outcomes with the good and the bad, I think it creates a deficit mindset. What do you say about that?
This is one of the main reasons why I am in IFS, Internal Family Systems, right? So for those who don't know, Internal Family Systems is a psychotherapy model, and the basic premise is that the human mind is a multiplicity of the mind,
Right.
meaning that we have sub-personalities, all of us. That's how the brain works. And when those sub-personalities get hurt or damaged or go through a trauma, the part gets stuck in a certain age. And when a person is led by their parts instead of led by their true self, they are looking for what's the issue. The part is there to protect themselves from the issue. When you go into a relationship and you come with a deficit, it's because you have parts that are burdened by the situation. So when they come into the room, they're looking for what's the fight going to be. They're ready to fight, prepared to fight. The
Right.
energy changes. Like I'm in a training right now, level 1 for the second time.
Right.
My goal is to be a beast when it comes to the IFS, right? Because I think it's a very strong, powerful healing mechanism.
Right, right.
So one story was told by one of the trainers, and it basically said, when he was a kid, he was a fun-loving little kid, and he had a cousin. They played all the time, but then the cousin got older and started bullying him. And when the cousin started bullying him, now every time he's around a cousin, he has to get tougher. That part of him that would get bullied had to be prepared for the fight, toughen up. And that's what happens in relationships. When you get bruised and going through stuff and you don't properly heal from it, you don't let those parts heal, you go into the situation thinking that it's going to happen and cause it to happen by having that way of looking at things. So that's why I think it's important for us to properly heal from a lot of things that we go through so we can come into a relationship with a more fresh mindset. Take the lessons that we learn, but don't take on the baggage or put your gloves on for that fight if you're not in the same ring that you were when you got that bruise.
Right.
And that's what's happening.
So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let you go, man. I know you gotta go, but I do agree with you that about the parts, and also I think people sometimes jump from relationship to relationship because of unresolved issues with trauma. Some of it is rebellion, but I do agree with you with the potential in theory that the younger woman, older man dynamic can be very powerful. I'm gonna do a show at some point talking about why Adam was actually older than Eve. I'm not saying every older man can be with a younger woman because some older men are not developmentally sound themselves. They can be chronologically older, but developmentally they can be younger. And then there's some older men that don't have their stuff together as well. But however, in theory, I would say your position is correct. If that man is healed, he's sound, he's soft, and he has a plan. Because when a woman, excessive dating for women, like you said, hurts them to some degree. Especially they, being with a lot of dudes. But an older man that's seasoned, that's learned life, he's in good shape. Because we're not talking about the typical older man. We're talking about an exemplary older man that's in good shape. He got his money right, he got his mind right, and he's ready to lead and guide his woman and love her and protect her. And so I think that older woman-man dynamic can be, in theory, a very powerful element. But there are some nuances to it. It's not as fluid as people think it is. It's some static to it. But anyway, man, look, it's been good, man. I enjoyed Brooklyn, man. We were all up in Harlem earlier, man. Brooklyn, then we back in Manhattan. How y'all say it, Manhattan? Manhattan? Yeah, Ty got that swag, man. So I'm proud of my son, man. I'm proud of my son, man. He's doing good, man. But Ty, man, we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna go downstairs, man. I'm gonna get ready to go tonight, man. So, guys, this is another part where we're talking about our parts, but also talking about the dynamics associated with relationships. So, guys, we're gonna be in the air at some point tomorrow. But much love and blessings. This is another part of the series of the Manhood Chronicles. As Ty and I talk about, do women sabotage themselves with too many dating options? See you guys soon.